This is Surah 105, verses 2 to 5 of Al-Qiyam. Did he not make their plot go astray, and sent against them birds in flocks, striking them with stones of Sijil, and made them like an empty field of stalks? Now, the poetry of this surah is evident both in the Arabic and in the English. But we'll talk about another one. This is Surah Al-Nisa, in ayah 29. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل إلا أن تكون تجارة عن تراض منكم ولا تقتلوا أنفسكم إن الله كان بكم رحيما. O ye who believe, eat up not your property amongst yourselves in vanities, but let there be among you traffic and trade by mutual goodwill. Now this was specifically talking about the hoarding of wealth that was done often by great kings, because with wealth comes power and responsibility. Now first in Al-Field, we were talking about the seemingly insignificant weight of stones that are capable of being carried by birds. And yet when they act in unison, they may topple what seems to be insurmountable giants. Once again, this relates to voting, because we have that, but another thing that we think often cannot be used for good except out of very narrow methods, and that is our wealth. So the spread of Islam, contrary to Western historians, was not done at the sword, but on the edge of good trade and good trade relations, good business practice, and ensuring that all parties felt justice and equity. The counterpoint, people may think, well, no, I actually do think Islam was spread by the sword. Many of you are extremely educated. You have access to the best sources in the world, especially today, with the internet making information as free as it has been never in the history of humanity. But let's talk about some of the counterpoints. The sword is being used to crush Islam in several places around the world today. Has it worked? In 5 generations in Palestine, in Kashmir, in 3 generations in Xinjiang, China, in France, in the United States. You may not think this, but our brother Malcolm X has been fighting for the cause of Islam and of Muslims since the 1960s. Many of us are here today directly because of his actions, because he helped foster an entire new wave of immigration and openness in this land. And he did it at a great expense to himself, his life. Now, the current horrors of state-sponsored hatred in France are perhaps fresh to those who are here, but that has been brewing for a long time. And this crowd is, again, extremely literate, has access to all of this. And yet some of us would prefer not to worry about it, and I can understand that. It's been a very stressful year. Many bad things have happened in a lot of different places. Australia, California, Tanzania, Colorado, they're all burning like they never have for many generations. To ignore these events, though, and to let them happen is not truly in the spirit of protecting our neighbors from danger. Imam Omar Suleiman has posted a list of French companies to boycott in order to speak against imperial power, because the only language they understand is that of money. Now, alhamdulillah, the people here have, I believe, money greater than the general population of this state and country. It's a small gathering, I understand that. But I'd like to think that there are people here who are amongst either themselves or they're the children of those who are in the top 10% of earners. Today, I'm going to make an assertion that is going to be difficult, complex, and it's going to make me perhaps feel that it's challenging to your commitment to the tenets of the faith. And to be fair, I am. But I want us to all be able to grow and to understand there are different ways for us to be practicing Islam and committing dawah in ways that are silent and yet commiserate to every single one of us here. The full details and explanations are unable to be done in such a small time and talk, but we will try to get as much of it done as we can. Now, the very simple and straightforward thing is that a lot of people here have IRAs and 401ks with various investment accounts, and they may or may not be as sophisticated in discussing them with their advisors, with their wealth managers. But I'm saying that instead of only doing what Umar Sulaiman says, don't buy the products. I'm saying take your investments out of those products. Let your wealth managers know why you're doing it. Because you are a Muslim, and that you want to make sure that within your trade practice, you are supporting those businesses that support the message and essence of Islam and Islamic business. Because currently, you may be invested in things that have an imperial agenda, that profit from the siege of Islam in various places around the world. This is a part of your wealth, and certainly it is hoarded, and that is your right to do that because you've earned it. I'm not telling you to donate anywhere. I'm saying move around your assets so that it supports you in the afterlife and the ummah in this life. Now, it may seem easy. Okay, we're going to pull out of foreign investment. We're only going to do American companies. We're only going to, support local business. We're going to move out of multinationals. Unfortunately, the answer is a lot more difficult than that. Because even in this country, there are a lot of companies in the US that use prison slave labor to make their products and run their services. And those overwhelmingly black and brown bodies whose communities were targeted by the state to ensure such a mill exists. And those same black and brown bodies and those people are amongst the largest demographics of converts to Islam in the US. Now, I bring this up for a reason, because it may not surprise some of you, but I recently had this same discussion with a group of young scholars. The answer they provided to me as to why this wasn't an issue of concern amongst the Ummah and the scholarship, they'd care more if they were poor foreign Muslims than some abstract outsider. Now, at the time, that answer horrified me, that the future leadership of the Ummah had such callous thoughts, but I gave them their requisite 70 excuses. I have thought about it for a while. It takes a while to think of 70 things, but here's my answer for their excuses. The people that I'm discussing are our neighbors. They are not some abstract outsider. They're your colleague, your children's classmate, and they may well be Muslim one day because you took a stand for justice on their behalf, even when it gave you trouble. And as much little trouble as your returns on your 401k was down a few percentage points. I'll be reading some hadith and other quotes. Civilization is but a thin veneer stretched across the passions of the human heart. Civilization doesn't just happen. We have to make it happen. And another well-documented hadith, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, pay the worker his dues before his sweat has dried up. Now, this addresses the rightful dues of those that are in the employment of others and emphasizes the prompt disbursement of all dues to the worker. It seems like all of us follow this. It's no problem. We pay each other their minimally legally obligated dues. However, as people with employees, we have to consider the federal minimum wage has stayed stagnant for 45 years. It is no longer a livable, sustainable wage. It is not a fair trade for the employer who gives their blood, sweat, and tears so that you may profit, but we consider it legal. We have to do all the legal things in this land. That does not make it ethical. The imperialist powers have made a long history of jumping through mental hoops, of saying, oh, something's legal and good, but that doesn't make it justice. We all know this. We all know what's happening in France, maybe according to French law, but without a moment's hesitation, we don't doubt that it is not ethical or justice. Now, once again, my suggestion is the same with some other scholars, but it is a complex one for this sophisticated crowd that sits in front of me today. This is a troubling world that we live in currently. Many changes have happened, and often sitting in comfort is easier, simpler. We think that's justice. I'm imploring us to think differently. I do not think it is enough to not buy from Danone, Chanel, Dior, Cartier, which are French companies, but to make sure that your investments are taken out of them, and that you let your financial managers know why. There is a dearth of voter suppression happening in this country and in this world because the only votes that really matter is that of money. So let's vote with it. Again, along with the electoral votes. Previously, it was only done for ourselves. And that's okay. It's a capitalist way, right? But zakat and sadaqah are also ingrained in our faith. We do not believe in pure corporate capitalism that exists today in our global economy. Now, let me be clear. I'm not asking for donations. I want every single one of you to gain the value of your earnings, but in an Islamically considerate and thoughtful way. I leave all of us with a question to ask our own selves. What have we done to better the world for our Creator's Ummah and other creation? Now that is the end of today's talk. This is hopefully going to be a series of challenging topics in the practice of our faith. And will continue, inshallah, if the people here would like to have similar things in the future, however. I felt these two topics that were both this week and last week important due to the current contentious election season. In the future, the topics will be related to Islam in modern society and practice, where, again, the people in this crowd who come to Jummah are amongst the top 5% of knowledgeable Muslims. Of course, you need to learn about the Hadith, the Quran, the previous practice of faith. But it's also that we need to live and learn in this world and understand how the tenets of our faith may continue to help us prosper as well as our communities. And inshallah, we'll figure this out in 2021. May Allah make it so that we all last that long. Last week, I was supposed to give the khutbah, but I was stuck in the trenches of the hospital because COVID is raging currently. And as all of us keep abreast of that knowledge, always knowing which restaurants, which businesses are closing, how to adjust your travel plans, I think it's also good to assure where we are voting and whom we are voting for, what their agendas are, and to understand that can they and will they support our community. Because it is not just red, it is not just blue. They are long and old and storied. We need something new. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, inshallah, may the entirety of the Ummah get success, both in this life and the next. But we must also be able to ask Allah to guide us to ensure that our hand and voice can make that happen.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله هيا على الصلاة هيا على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. So why is someone honking? Okay. Dr. Hassan, inshallah, for joining us today and sharing us these awesome thoughts. Honestly, I haven't thought about that in regards to our investments. Inshallah, may Allah Ta'ala guide us and give us those things. So, inshallah, as always, inshallah, those who are on the east side of the building, inshallah, the first 3 rows, you're gonna make your way out to the north, head out on Roosevelt. Please turn right on Summit. Excuse me. Those who are in the south side of the building, inshallah, make your way to the south exit. And then, inshallah, just listen to your volunteers, inshallah ta'ala. Alhamdulillah, we have actively have construction underway under the guidance and assistance by our dear brother Amir Mawlawi, mashallah. May Allah bless him and his family. So, alhamdulillah, we have active renovation going on in the first floor with the hope that bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, when Allah allows us to open up, that we will have a community cafe available and ready. And with the hope, inshallah, we can resume salawat al-khams, inshallah, our 5 daily prayers as well. So please, inshallah, continue to contribute, as you always do generously, to our facility. We have the number, if you text 630-491-1353 as you're waiting to exit. If you text 630-491-1353. If you text center, CENTER, inshallah, you'll get a link to donate, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I was wondering, like, someone else, why do they keep honking? What's going on? What happens is 89.5, the FM station. Yeah. It's like a rap station. So if the sound goes out,
and that's what plays.
Like there's a hip hop playing in the background.
I mean, that happens.
Alhamdulillah. Where are you working at, man?
In Plymouth, Indiana, just south.
Oh, really? So you're coming from far then?
A little bit. It's my off week.
Okay, good.
It's no longer a week.
Are you a hospitalist?
Yeah, hospitalist. Okay. We have emergency schedule.